All right. Now that you know what to expect and you've committed to breaking free, now the next thing we're gonna do is identify the loop. Okay. So you're gonna be able to identify where the loop is at. Okay. You're gonna be able to see which part of the cycle you're in. You're gonna be able to see the pattern that keeps emerging. Okay. So here we're going to go ahead and help you recognize and identify the repeating cycles in your life, okay? Whether that be financial, relational, personal, whatever it is. So we have the worksheet, okay? Uh, so same thing as before, you're going to want to go ahead and print this out or save it to your device, okay? Fill it out. I'm going to go ahead and save mine now. I'm going to go ahead and download. Remember, save. I'm on my iPad. I'm gonna save to photos, and now remember, you can write on these once you save it to photos. So this is what I have, and if you're on a Apple device, all you have to do, tap it once, and you should see the little eye with a circle around it. Oh wait, not that one. It's like a little bars, the little bars, not the eye. And then you got the little pen here. Okay, so now I can fill it out. Oh, let me pick a color first. Let's go with red. So there you go. Now you can fill it out. Okay. And if you printed it out, obviously use your pencil. Uh, if you're on Android, I'm sure you guys can do it too. Okay. So our cycle identifier. First thing you're gonna do, you're going to write down your top three repeating cycles. Where is it that you feel like you're getting stuck? It's like you have a goal in mind, and every time you get close to achieving it, there's something that brings you back, right? So you take 3 steps forward and you take 5 steps back. You want to go ahead and identify three of these, and what this is going to do is it's going to help you to get into the habit of identifying them. Okay, it's going to allow you to see and track exactly what the problems are. Okay, once you're cognizant of it, it's like if you're driving a car. Okay, if you buy a car for the first time, let's say you bought a green Kia, and it's your first time driving a green Kia, and then suddenly everywhere you see there's a lot of green Kias. You see, wow, there's so many people with the same car, but you never noticed that before you had that green Kia. Okay, so it's the same thing. Once you cognitively decide to focus and hone in on these three things, then from here on, you're gonna have a habit in your brain that allows you to pick up when cycles are starting. Okay, so then that way you're not going to be constantly in the same cycle for as long. So go ahead and write your top three repeating cycles, and then you're going to want to identify triggers, okay, that start each cycle. So let's give some examples. uh Actually, we'll give some examples. We'll come back. We're going to go through this and then we'll come back. Okay. um Once you figure out your triggers, you got to figure out the actions that you're going to take when you're triggered. Okay, what you do now. Okay, because we're going to change those. Obviously, if it's not working, we're going to change it. And then you're going to document the consequences or the results. Okay, now consequence can be positive or negative. Okay, that's why we have the other word results there. um, and then we're going to change those, and then you're going to have your consequences and results that you expect to get. Okay, so let's give some examples here. So, top three repeating cycles. Let's go with the dog. Um, the last one we talked about the dog, trying to train your dog to sit, right? And he gets too distracted because he has a low attention span. Okay, and that's going to be one of your repeating cycles. Every time I get him to sit, everything's good, everything's fine and dandy until the car goes by. Now that's a trigger, okay? That's going to be a trigger that disrupts the training. So now that you've identified one of the triggers, let's give a couple more triggers. So a car goes by, uh, somebody comes in, knocking on the door, uh, or your phone goes off. Okay. Oh, whatever the case may be, you got these triggers now. Now you know that, okay, I need to be in an isolated scenario in order for this to take place. Okay. So now it might be better to go maybe to a different location, right? Maybe a doggy park, or maybe somewhere that doesn't have as many distractions. Maybe close the windows, maybe go into a closet. Okay. It might seem unorthodox at first, but once you get into uh, getting it down the right way, then you'll be able to tweak and adjust. Okay. One example of this, um, what I usually like to say is, so let's say designer brands, right? You don't necessarily always need to have a designer brand, but it's good to have a designer brand first, so that way you know what quality should be. Once you know what the quality should be, then you can go find some other non-designer brands if you don't really care about designer, and you'll have the same quality. Okay. It might not be as flashy, or it might not be as um, like have much notoriety, but it's still going to be the same quality. But you won't know that until you actually get it. Okay. So when I first wore a pair of Jordans, I was wearing cheap shoes for a long time, and then I put some Jordans. I was like, dang, these are actually comfortable, and I see why people buy these, right? I see why it's good to play basketball in these. So now, when I go, if I do buy cheap shoes, then I go, well, number one, I know these are cheap shoes because I had the good shoes, and then number two, if I do end up with a cheaper shoe, I can know what it should feel like. Okay, so now I hit the middle of the road. Okay, maybe you just get some Nikes. Okay, instead of Jordans, because Jordan is basically Nike. It's just a different brand. So that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna find out the triggers, okay, and then you're going to eliminate those. Take all of the scenarios that create those triggers out of the equation, and regardless if it's orthodox or not, you're going to create the scenario where you can be successful. Okay. Um, let's take a more real world example. Let's say something about money, okay? Because a lot of people have money issues. So let's take an easy one. Well, I would consider easy, but if you don't find it easy, hopefully after this cycle breaker challenge, you will be able to break these cycles, and it should be easy for you. So let's say you're in a job, okay, and you're looking to get promoted, right? And let's take like a lowly job, like, well, I don't want to say a lowly, but let's take like a low paying job, like a, just to make it easy and simple for everybody to understand, like a cashier, okay, at a fast food restaurant. And or let's say you're not even a cashier. Let's say you're the freaking fry cook in the back, flipping the burgers or making the tacos or whatever, and you want to get to the cash register, but every time the time comes around for reviews, right? And this is whether if you're in office or whatever, performance reviews comes around. This other person always gets the job over you. Okay, so now you might figure out, well, what are the triggers? Number one, performance review. Okay, so now I know when a performance review is coming up, I need to put myself in a position where I'm looked favorably upon to do that cash register job, okay, or whatever promotion job there is, okay. So let's say, so now we know the trigger, okay. The next trigger is going to be, well, somebody else is getting it. So if I'm not getting it, who else is around me that is in a position to be there or wants that position as well, okay. So that's another trigger. okay? Because the trigger of you failing is going to be somebody else wanting to get ahead of you, okay? You got to keep all of these things in mind. One more trigger could be uh, I'm not qualified, or I don't have the skills to be a cashier, or whatever the case may be, the manager or whatever. So if that's another trigger that causes them to say no, then that's when we're going to take the actions, okay, to correct those triggers. So we've identified our triggers. Uh, the actions that I currently take when those triggers happen. So let's say right now, I'm not really doing anything to cause it to trigger. I'm just going to work every day doing the same thing. Well, obviously, if it's not working, then that's probably a part of the problem. The problem is not that you're triggering it. The problem is that you're not doing anything and it's triggering it. Okay, so there's a saying where if you don't do anything, this is not the quoted saying, but the concept goes that if you don't do anything, chaos will ensue. Okay, and just think about it. If you don't take a shower, you're going to get dirty. You don't have to actively try to get dirty to get dirty. You just have to neglect taking a shower. Okay? If you don't cut the grass, it's going to get messy. It's going to grow. Okay? If you don't maintain your car, it's going to break down. You don't have to do anything wrong for it to break down. The fact that you're not actively mitigating it is going to cause it to break down. That's the world that we live in. That's what you have to understand. And that is a microcosm of every event. Every reality is a microcosm of every other reality. What that means is if you take one area of study, you could take that and apply it to every other area of study. So for example, let's say we have quantum physics and we have aviation. Those two might seem unrelated, but if you are an expert in quantum physics, you can take some of those core principles and apply it to aviation in a way where it's going to be the same. Okay. I think of a good example that's not too over people's heads. Let's go Pythagorean theorem. If you went to high school, you probably took Pythagorean theorem. Okay, if you don't remember it, we're gonna have a math lesson real quick. So Pythagorean's theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Basically, what that means is if you have two of those variables, if you have a and b, you will always be able to find what c is. Okay, and that is with any scenario. So if that is true in math, the same can be true in another world. So let's say, I don't know, freaking Legos, right? If you know two of the pieces, you have the instructions for Legos and it tells you how to put them together. You have two of the pieces, you will always be able to figure out that third piece by process of elimination. Okay, if you put two of the wheels on, and the front wheels and the back wheels are not the same, the third wheel, you're going to be able to know exactly which one it is. Okay, so not quite the best example, but we're going to get through it. Okay. And if y'all have any questions, go ahead and write in the comments. Okay. Make a post if you don't understand, or if there's something that specifically that you want me to address as an specific example that you want me to tackle. Go ahead and write it in the comments. So the actions that you're taking right now, okay? If the actions that you're taking right now is nothing, then now we have to change that, okay? And what are the results? What are the results of the action? Of me, so in this case, me not taking any action gives the result of somebody else getting that promotion. So now that I have these all laid out, now I can look and analyze and pick and choose where I want to change the outcomes. Okay, now the consequence or the result that I want to get is going to be I want to get that promotion. The action that I'm currently taking it's nothing. Or let's give another example, just so we have multiple scenarios. Okay, so you have scenario A, we're not doing anything, but then you have scenario B where uh, you're going crazy, like working really hard, and you're trying to get that promotion. You're still not getting it. So now, in either case, you have to change your actions. Okay, there's another saying that if you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, that's called insanity. Okay, that's a very common saying. If you don't know it, now you know. So basically, that means that if you're doing something that's not working, then you need to change it. And there's another saying that goes in opposite of this, uh, that they say in the military: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, so if you have something that is working, don't suddenly change it to try to get a better outcome, because you have now have the potential of making it worse. Okay, um, you should always strive to be efficient and effective at whatever you're doing, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, so let's say our action is that we're not doing anything. We're gonna go with scenario A for the rest of this example. We're not doing anything, so we're gonna change our actions and begin to do something. So now we go back to the triggers. One of the triggers is the annual review. So now let's go 3 months in before the annual review. Now we're gonna start doing things differently. We're gonna start complimenting our coworkers. We're gonna start saying good morning. We're gonna start saying hello every time we see them with a smile, with a good attitude, right? We're gonna start demonstrating that we know how to do math, that we're competent and counting money, right? These are things that you can do, little things that you can do. It's not gonna be an overnight thing, okay? If you want results that last, you have to put in the consistency over time. Okay, so 3 months in, we're gonna demonstrate these things. It's like a subliminal thing, right? If you have ever watched TV or seen ads, they give you the same repetition over and over to try to drill into your head this quote or song or whatever the ad is trying to promote, so that now it's in your subconscious. So when you go to the store, you don't even think twice about buying whatever it is they showed you. Okay, so it's going to be the same thing. In this scenario, we want to get promoted. So in order to do that, we're going to demonstrate that we belong in that position. Okay, if there's ever any chances to volunteer, okay, before we were just doing our job, coming in, okay, but now we're looking for opportunities to take over if somebody's needs help or didn't come into work. Okay, you understand? So this is how it goes. Okay, so and this could be for any scenario. Okay, um, if you got the dog, right, uh, the triggers, I think we addressed this already, but the triggers were the distractions. So we went ahead and went somewhere where there's no distractions. Also, uh, when we go back to um, getting consistent results over time, we're going to do little things for our dog and do little exercises to get him to focus long enough. Okay, so that way, when we do finally go and try to get him to sit, now he's built up that focus to where he's not distracted all the time. Okay, so every 3 days, we're going to have him sit in a room and just don't do anything. Okay, for like 30 minutes, just sit and stare at your dog. Okay, it might be a little unorthodox, but this is how you break the cycles. You have to think outside of the box that you're already in. Okay, if you want to get out of the box and think outside of the box, think like somebody who is outside of the box. All right. In the case of the cashier, you want to have some conversations with the cashier, see how they think, see what they're doing. I'm going to give you a bonus tip. Spiritual law is that if you see something that you like, bless that thing or that person or whatever it is. Okay, that's a bonus. You has the ears to hear, let him hear. I'm not going to go too far into that, but that is something that's going to help you if you take it to an account. And so that's all we got for today. As you can see, we got Proverbs 21, 28, 11. So we're going to go ahead and read that real quick and go ahead and pull that up. Proverbs 28 and 11. And it states, "The rich man is wise in his own eyes, but the poor who has understanding searches him out." Okay? Meaning, you can think you're doing good all day long, but if it's not working, don't keep doing it. That's insanity. Okay? Don't be stuck in your own head thinking that the ways that you're doing are right because that's the way you've been doing it. Obviously, if it's not working, you need to change it. The wise man is the one who realizes that he could be wrong and takes consideration on other avenues to fix the problem. So I hope that helped. Next, tomorrow, we're going to go into day 2 and why prayer alone hasn't worked for you. All right? Stay tuned. If you're on school, make sure you join those meetings, comment, and if you see somebody else joining and they're on a different level than you, be sure to help them out. That is one of the best ways to help yourself. You'll be surprised. If you teach somebody else something, it's going to force you to learn it better to get you to learn what they're trying to learn. Okay? So take those tips and let's break those cycles. Gang, we out.